Hello guys. So today we'll do a CTF on Hack the Box. If you go to the CTF section in Hack the Box, there is a CTF going on. It is like a archived version of CTF. I don't think it is like new something or everyone is playing it right now. It may be just some sample challenges. They have archived it into a CTF tryout. Okay. So we'll solve a CTF challenge from here. So let's see what do we have. There are many different sections like hardware, reversing, wave, etc. Let's try a wave one first, and let's try this one, jailbreak. It is a difficulty is very easy, so let's try this one. Let's spawn the Docker, and I will play through the browser. So let's tap that. Am I recording? Yeah, I am. Okay, network issue. Yeah, so okay, let's read the description first. The crew secures an experimental Pip-Boy from black market merchant, recognizing its potential to unlock the heavily guarded bunker of Vault 79. Blah blah blah. Can you bring the device to full operational status in order to pair it with Vault's door access port? The flag is located at here. Okay, so we need to extract this flag, and another important thing is to bypass its sophisticated biometric lock. So somehow we have to bypass these biometric locks and then get this flag. Okay, so let's take a look. It looks like a game interface. I have seen some YouTuber play a game like this. I have never played it. So after exploring different options, you can see there is a section called ROM. Okay, let's go there and see what is it about. It says enter an update configuration file in the appropriate format, which is XML. So there is a XML file. This is about firmware update config. Okay, and there are some components like navigation, communication, biometric security, etc. You can also edit this this file, anything. Now first thing I noticed when I was doing it earlier, that you see here checksum type, it says SHA 256, SHA 256, but SHA 256 gives us an output of 64 bytes. Okay, but this hash, it is not 64 bytes, it is actually 32 bytes. The same thing with this one, it says it's SHA 256, but it has 32 bytes. And at the last one, you can say something very interesting. It just ABCDEF 1 2 3 4. Like how odd it is that and hashing will produce some output like this. Okay, so one thing that came to mind is these are meaningless. There is no checking behind the scene. There is no checksum actually working. One thing, so we can actually modify this file, and after modifying we can just submit it and it will do something. So let's try to change one of these. Okay, let's just let's try to change this hash and put it put anything. Yeah, okay, just random letters, and let's try to submit. Let's see what happens when we submit this file. Okay, and when we submit, there is a message pop up at the bottom. It says firmware version 1.33.7 update initiated, and then nothing happens. There is no output here, any other output. Okay, and if you go back to the game interface, it is exactly the same as it was before. You can also check all these menu things. Nothing changed actually. So when I was doing this challenge, the first thing came to my mind, okay, I need to get that flag. How can I get that flag? Maybe I can get a shell on the machine, but the only thing we can change here is this XML file, and just by modifying an XML file, at least in this case, it is not possible to get a shell. Okay, so we have to somehow you know, get the output of that file only without getting a shell. So how can we do that? Now there is a thing called XXE, that is XML external XML entity injection. Okay, and what it does is it's a common vulnerability, you can say exploitation technique. What it does is we will create an external XML entity here, and then inside any of these components or any variable here, we can just replace that with that external entity which we control. That way we can get output of any file, and also we can do SSRF. Apparently, if you want to read about it, there is a good documentation in Portswigger. Let me show you. Yeah, this one. What is XXE? Not this one. Yeah, if you go there and read their documentation, you can see, where is it? Yeah, what are the types of XXE attacks? This one, exploiting XXE to retrieve files. This is our goal, right? We want to retrieve that flag file. And also you can perform SSRF attack and various other. You can read from here. Okay, now yeah, if you can also read this one in details, because this is the one we need, exploiting XXE to retrieve files. Okay, so the main thing is we have to create an external entity, and if this application is vulnerable, it does not do any defensive check or something, the application performs no particular defense against XXE attacks, so you can exploit the XXE vulnerability to retrieve the file. They are trying to retrieve this file, but we need the flag file. Okay, enough talking, let's try to do that. Okay, so we just have to modify this file. First we have to create a custom entity here. So first let's just copy this one, XML version thing. Okay, next we'll create our entity there, and we can call it anything. Okay, they are calling it foo, but we can call it, let's call it the heading here, firmware update config. Okay, and yeah, the variable name is XXE. It is just like everyone just use it. You can change it to anything, but people just use it. And yeah, we are calling the system. This is the dangerous keyword here. It will perform the task you give it. So we are trying to read this file. Okay, not this one. Let's change that. flag.txt. Okay, this is the file we want to read. Okay, now after adding this entity, we have to use that, but we have to use that in a way that after this firmware is updated, we can see that output. That means our action will be reflected, the output will be reflected somewhere, right? Now then I thought, how can we do that? Because as you guys saw, after submitting this file, there is no change in the output of the game interface. We cannot see nothing change here. Okay, suppose there are 3 components here, as you can see: navigation, communication, and biometric security, but none of them are found in the game. If they were in the game, maybe after updating the firmware, there will be a new output which we can use to retrieve our flag, but there is none. I have already checked. You can also explore all these options. There were none. Okay, so how can we do it, guys? Remember, when we were submitting the file, read the message below. It says firmware version, the version number, update initiated. Now after seeing this, I saw, okay, look at this. This is the farmer component, and it says there is a variable, that is version. The value of the version is this. Okay, so this value is being reflected at the message below. Okay, what if we change this value? Let's try that. Let's try to change this value to anything like test. Okay, now after submit this, you can see the message changed. The message says now firmware version test updated initiated. So we can reflect the output of our file in this variable, this placeholder. You can use it as a placeholder. Okay, so let's do that. And our previous code has lost. Let's write that again. I'm just going to copy it from here. Let's do some changes. Change the doc type name. And we are trying to read the file flag.txt. And the placeholder, the variable we want to use is change is this one. Okay, this placeholder we are going to use. So we will use the reference of our variable above, custom variable, that is xxe. Okay, so now what happens is when the application parses this XML file, it will look at this. Oh, I need to check the value of xxe. It will go look above. It will see the xxe variable, that is the system, that entity is system, and that our file. It will read the content of our file and show it in our output. Okay, so let's try to submit it. If we submit that, an error occurred, Unicode strings with. Okay, I think there is some problem in the encoding, so let's remove this encoding thing and now submit. Okay, there is another problem. Okay, I think we have to put a semicolon here. Okay, let's do that and submit again. Yeah, and you can see the message contains the flag. So I hope you guys understood. This was a very easy difficulty challenge, but it was my first time encountering a xxe. So I learned something, and I hope you guys also understand. Okay, so bye.